So, all right. Well, I am here today on my Redhead Ranting podcast. I'm with Mike Faricy. He is the author of 90 books, did you say?
I got about 94 and always working on the next one.
94 books. So,
Yeah.
very prolific. Mike is from St. Paul, so he's local, and we go way back.
hmm
We've known each other kind of in passing for, what, 30 some years, I think, from the University Club days and all of that.
Yeah, 1,000 years ago. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Saint Small is a thing because everybody knows everybody in the Twin Cities, or at least in St. Paul. So anyway, Mike writes murder mysteries, and now you've got a children's
I'm
book that
just
you'll talk
finishing up, in
about.
fact, the third book in my children's young boys series, 11 to 13 or 14. The third book in that is at the last editors now, and I run all my work through 5 different editors, and each one of them finds things that that I need to fix.
That's great. So you write. How many different series do you have?
I've got 4 different series. My largest one and the one that is most popular is my Dev Haskell series, A Private Eye in St. Paul. And I describe him as he's the character that was in our high school class and doing crazy things there. And you're always wondered what happened to him, but you don't want to get too close just in case. And then you're always surprised he never served time in prison. So that's one series. Another series is the Jack Dillon Dublin Tales, and those are all set in Dublin, Ireland, largely because I'm married to an Irish woman who lives in Dublin, and I live here in St. Paul, and we go back and forth. Well, we used to go back and forth. She's uncomfortable coming to the U.S. right now, I'm over in Dublin. Collectively in a number of months, 3, maybe 4 months a year, but in increments of 2 or 3 weeks. And I can get off the plane dressed like this, and I've got a wardrobe there, and she picks me up so I don't have to worry about taxis or getting a hotel or anything like that. So I really like it.
Like life.
Yeah, lovely area, and God bless her, she's patient. So anyway, the Jack Dillon Dublin Tales is my other series, and then I have a series called Hot Shots, which has been basically put to bed, and it's the original 5 books that I wrote over the course of 5 years, sending out in those days a query letter, and hoping to get an agent and or a publisher. And when I sent out my query letter, I also had to enclose a self-addressed stamped envelope so I could get my rejection quickly. And on the 5th book, I received a letter back from one of the top 5 publishers in New York City, and it's stamped on the front and it says, return to sender. And I turn it over, and there's a handwritten note on the back of the unopened envelope that says, this does not fit our needs at this time. And they never opened up the envelope. There could have been a check in there. But it made me decide that Mike Faricy from St. Paul, Minnesota, doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell with these people. And there was a side gate getting into the playground, and it was Amazon and ebooks. So I started there. And then I've got my Yucky Yates series, which is a series I just started this year. And I just, in fact, just yesterday, a couple of days ago, I released the 3rd book in that series. So That keeps me busy.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that,
Well, it
honestly.
makes me the most boring guy in town, and I'm happy to be that way.
I don't think you're the most boring, but
Oh.
um, certainly very prolific. I was thinking about your mostly the Deb Haskell series, but just your writing in general, and the crime mystery kind of reminds me of if John Camp or John Sanford and Christopher Moore had a love child, because that's what your books remind me of. Because while I love John Sanford books, they're not
Mhm.
funny and they're very dark, but there's very little humor in them, whereas yours has quite a bit. And
Well, thank you.
enjoy them in that regard, just because I'm always looking for more ways to laugh, I suppose.
Hmm. Hmm.
What um, what do you like most about your Dev character?
Um, I like I like a number of things. In general, just the craziness of stuff that he does. And, he's never going to be looking for someone who tried to burn down the Capitol or the governor's mansion or something like that. He's dealing with people who have legitimate problems. It's always just crazy stuff, um, and it works. And it's, as I said before, he's the guy we all knew, and you're interested in finding out what he's up to. But like I say, you don't want to get too close. The other thing about that series is he always has a relationship with a different woman. And I write that series for crabby old guys like myself. The vast majority of my readers are women. And every time I release a book in that series, by the end of the book, the woman he's been with in some way, shape, or form dumps him. And I get these emails from women that say, when is he going to learn? He does all these stupid things, and then he wonders why she doesn't want to be with him. And, it's just everything from getting pulled over for speeding or just doing crazy guy stuff. And yeah,
So is he kind of an alter ego, the guy you that's still in there somewhere? That
well,
TV.
I was the class clown in grade school and high school, and in college, my nickname was Joker. So if that tells you anything,
That tells me a
uh,
lot, actually.
yeah, yeah. So
So do you let your character write itself, or do you plan out where he's going to go with the story?
planning is too aggressive a term. It sort of takes away. I'm a pantser, so I don't have an outline. I have and I mean very general idea of what's going to happen by the end of the book. But in between there, the beginning and the end, I'm working off the seat of my pants as I'm typing every day and come up with things. And then usually about 10 o'clock at night, I'm thinking, what would be a great idea with that stuff, whatever I'd written that day. And I make a note and, leave it on my desk and, go back and adjust and deal with it. So like I say, it makes me the most boring guy in town.
So,
And
because I don't write fiction, so this is kind of new to me, but um, I'm curious that so you start out, you have an idea of where you want or you think the story's going to end up, but it tends to drive itself, I'm assuming, based
yes,
on what you've written before, like, and this is why I don't write fiction. It's the idea that if in your scene, the woman walks through the door or whatever, and then she gets mad and then she storms out, but she has to open the door again. It's the little details of, did she open the door or did she walk into the door? And that's the kind of thing that I can't keep track of. Is that something that comes naturally to you, or do you?
Somewhat. When I run the whatever book have worked on, and I run it through my editors, they all come up with some situation like that. The door was closed, or he'd already had lunch. Why is he going to this restaurant with someone to have lunch? That type of just common sense things, but
Right.
you know,
That
you
are
got to
that's
keep
real
track.
easy to miss.
Yeah.
Let's talk about indie publishing since you brought that up.
Okay.
You've been publishing. When was your first book published?
The first one was published in about 2004.
Okay, so Amazon was. Were they? Did they have KDP by then?
Yes.
Okay.
hmm
Um, and Amazon is the only place that you publish. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. I both my ebooks, print books, well, and the few books I have in audio are all on Amazon,
Okay.
and that's still the biggest marketplace. So,
Yeah, I'm new to that. I did Apple and Barnes and Noble, and I think I did Google Play. But then I decided to do the Amazon thing where, what's it called, where they can read a certain amount of pages or they can read it for free.
Kindle Direct Publishing.
Yeah, and in order to do that, you had to take your digital products out of the other platforms. So currently, I'm only available digitally on Amazon.
Yeah.
I think you can get the hard covers or whatever, the
Yeah.
prints on the other platforms. But I've done nothing. Very little have I done on those two platforms. It's all
But
Amazon.
when you're in Kindle Direct Publishing, you do get paid for pages read.
Right. Only
And
if you choose that format, because I
yes.
hadn't been doing that before.
hmm
And
And
I've talked to a bunch of indie writers who use that, and they say it's incredibly beneficial.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. I move all my books are on that, and I move a bunch of books. I normally would have hundreds of thousands of pages read every month.
Wow.
Now you get the amount differs, but it's 0.003 cents per page read. So it's not like you're going to be retiring on that amount. But
No, but it's I only did mine last month, but I've got 20 pages read. I thought that was a
yeah,
lot.
well, and it attracts people, and I get a lot of notices from every month from people who say one of two things: either thank you for having your book on KDP because I'm on a retirement income or I have medical problems, and da 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 da, and I can still read your books. And that is great. And the other thing is I do promo every month at a reduced price, and people like that. And there's a whole market that relates just for the promo price, or they're making sure that the book is enrolled in KDP, and therefore they'll maintain the series and read all my books, which is just great. So
No, that it is great. I think what Amazon mostly has done for publishing has been just mind blowing. Really,
oh
it's
yeah,
completely upended the industry,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
for the better. Anybody
Mhm.
can enter the playground, as you called it,
Yeah.
um, and can find their audience. Whereas
Mhm.
traditional publishing wouldn't allow that to happen. The gatekeepers were so gatekeepery that
Yeah.
nobody could get through, you know.
Yeah, and if you're with a publisher, and God bless them, and I know I have a number of friends who are, and they're happy doing that, and that's great. But a couple of things. One, the royalty amount that they receive is, way less than I'm receiving. And the other thing that I have found very interesting is that they're still required to basically handle the vast majority of marketing for the book.
Yeah.
So, you know, and
Yeah.
that gets to, not a complaint, but that gets to be a monthly expense that,
It's a lot of work.
yeah,
I think I was telling you this the other day. I was at the Irma Bombeck Writers Workshop in Dayton back in March. You know, we talked a lot about the publishing industry and how it's changed and how it's evolved. They don't quite know the top, the big five in New York. They don't really know what to do either. And you're right. The artist or the writer is responsible for so much more of the marketing now than ever before. Plus, keeping a social media presence and on all the different platforms and everything else. So I'm just happier not being represented now than
yeah, yeah.
I queried like you for the longest time, and I never got I got interest, but never it always fell short,
Yeah.
and for a variety of reasons.
I I'm self-employed as an independent writer, and I because of that I'm working at it 7 days a week, and I crank out 4 to 6 books a year. And if I was with a publisher, they would think that's nuts.
Yeah, and they probably have you doing it a way that's very different from what you've
Yes.
done, which is not going to be, that's the other thing we were talking about is, my books tend to be on the shorter side, and I think yours are, what'd you say, about 60,000 pages or 60,000 words.
Yeah.
So
60 to 70, but yeah.
yeah, so these are, my books are not particular, they're kind of thin, but
Hmm.
um, people don't have the attention spans anymore, and so I think shorter is almost better, but I don't think a publisher is going to want to get behind something like
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's a different world and constantly changing.
that.
Yeah. Just constantly. But the other side of it is I get monthly payments, sometimes $5, but sometimes 20, from a variety of different countries: the UK, Japan, Germany, Spain, uh, Brazil, Mexico. Yeah,
Yeah, I was surprised at that. Again, this is the KDT is still a little new to me, but there is a learning curve involved in managing the software and all of that. That was probably the hardest part for me, that and the cover. But yeah, to see the royalties come in from Brazil or Ireland,
yeah.
it's just it blows my mind, and I don't even know. Like, are they translating it? I don't even know if they are, or if they're reading
No,
it.
they're still in English, but maybe to your point, um, I could pay someone to translate my book into German and put it out there, and I could start to build an audience, a larger audience there. I suspect you start looking at these things, and it becomes for me just a matter of time. Well, in finance, obviously someone's not going to translate your book for free. So,
Well, there's AI for that, right?
yeah, and I'm always frightened about AI and what it. I mean, right now, someone can write a book at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's done by noon using AI. So I'm always concerned about what that's going to lead down the road. Right now, even AI doing newscasts and things, and maybe a 4 or 5 minute deal, I could even a year ago say, "Oh yeah, that's AI, whatever." Now I'm listening, and there's some that are definitely AI, and I'm not picking up on it. I mean, it has improved that much, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I use AI for my editing, mostly to catch the things that, that comprehensive editor would do.
Hmm.
And I do it because the cost is too much to hire a person, basically. I tend to highly edit my own stuff though, so by the time I throw it up there, I'm catching typos and sometimes sentence structure, but because of the way I write, bad sentence structure works well for me, if that makes sense. So I don't want to have that stuff edited out. I end up putting a lot of stuff back in for that purpose.
Yeah.
But but I have, I've met or, followed some writers on, I don't even know where it was. It might have been YouTube or something, and, talk about how they use AI to write their books. And, they basically plug in what the plot or whatever it is they're writing about. These tend to be more self-help, which is kind of frightening if you think about it.
Hmm.
But that to me is a little, not just scary, but a little, what is the word? Wrong. Like, you're not really writing it. You're giving a prompt, or
You're cheating.
you're cheating. That's the word. That's exactly the word. And even when I use it, I have it, I will, for my articles and stuff like that, I'll have it use, or I'll have it generate the images out of there. And they're very obviously AI, but I still feel like I'm cheating, and I still feel like, because I cannot do graphics to save my life. So I
Hmm.
use AI. It is a time saver,
Oh yeah.
and I also use it when I'm like outlining stories, or not stories, but the things that I want to write about. And what I found is that the back and forth that I have with it is really helpful in getting outlines out and all of that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So I'm not against AI, but I do have concerns about it as well. I figure we have maybe a 5-year window before the whole thing takes over and we're in Terminator 2, but that's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. Just it's crazy, and nothing I can do but try and adjust.
Right. That's, I have reached that age in my life where I have very little worry anymore, because there's just nothing I can do about any of it.
Hmm.
I sleep well at night.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Do you have plans for a new series coming up? And then we can talk about your young boy series, or your boy series. But do you
Well,
have,
I started a new series at the beginning of last year, or maybe a little longer than that. Um, my Yucky Yates series, and I've got 3 books in there now, and that's that's working nicely. And so when I'm writing, I'm finish a book in a series, go to the next series, do that, and that gives me a little different window each time, but also growing the series. So yeah.
do you have plans for another series for?
No, I don't right now. Only because the series I have are selling very well, and I'm just continuing to work on those. And I worry if I added another series, it would space out the next book in whatever series it was you're waiting for. And so I'm keeping it just where it is right now, but always subject to change.
Do you have your books been like are are they spin-offs of each other? Any of them?
There's some commonality. My one series, which I've put to bed, called the Corridor Man series, is that's hardcore crime. There's no real humor in it, and there's 10 books in the series, and you have to read them in order. The other series, I I would suggest that you read the first book in the series just to get an idea of it. But if you started on book 15, you'd know how things are going, and there's really no secrets that you need to have in advance. And the books can be read in any order.
Okay. Speaking of crime, why did you choose crime? Do you have any history in crime fighting or anything?
It always interested me, and I always liked mystery movies and mystery books. And growing up, one of the earliest books I read was in fourth grade, and it was called Snow Treasure. And it was a very popular book, and it's about children in Norway hiding gold bricks on their sleds and riding through the German area down a big mountainside and delivering these gold bricks to someone on a boat who was delivering the gold to the United States to get funds to fight the Germans in the Second World War. And it's based on a true story, but I really enjoyed it. And the teacher we had read it to us aloud, and I had gotten a copy of the book the only copy from our school library, so I could follow along and then read ahead that night rather than do homework. So, yeah.
I just saw the Sheep Detectives this weekend. Have you seen or heard of that movie?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
So it's really cute. It's a fun movie, and in it they kind of talk about, because the main character reads murder mysteries to the sheep, and then the sheep go on and solve the murder mystery based on the things that they learned from the books. Mm-hmm. And so is there sort of a method to solving a crime? Is there some sort of formula to that?
It depends on the book or the series. In my Dev Haskell series, there's no method. It's just craziness.
The dumb luck, or
yeah, a lot of dumb
skill?
luck. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Dumb luck / skill, but yeah. And in my series set in Dublin, the Jack Dillon series, that's more skill because my chief protagonist is a former U.S. Marshal. So he's has learned those skills that he deals with, and he's attached to the An Garda Síochána, which is the Dublin police force.
How much research do you have to do for these?
Always checking and rechecking things. I have a number of sites I can go to, or just Google it. Everything from in Dublin, what's the color of the police car, to uniform, or what's the law anywhere here or overseas regarding thus and such. And I check that, and in a way, obviously, I'm using AI because it's all AI answered. But I want to be as accurate as possible. So, and then, locally, as I said, I have friends on the police force and other individuals who practice law or something. So
that's got to be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me about your new series for the young men of this world?
Well, I don't have a title yet. I think what the title is going to be, my temporary title at least, is Partners, and then beyond, right behind that, in parentheses, will be In Crime. And what it is a group of boys, well, a group of children in grade school. The main characters are all boys and girls are in 8th grade, and it's dealing. They have a business that they have taken over from someone that they got kicked out of school because he was a mean guy, and he had all sorts of tests that had been given the year before in classes, and so they've got copies of all the exams, and they've got information about all the teachers. And my main character in the book was able to snatch a set of pass keys from one of the janitors who was working on a project in the building, and the kid stole the keys. So he's got pass keys to all the lockers, all the classrooms, and all the offices, which leads to a lot of other opportunities for them to sell test exams. They sell hallway passes and restroom passes that my main character prints off on his father's computer when his parents aren't home, and all those types of things.
So basically, 8th grade mafia.
Yes, exactly. And in the third book, they deal with coming into connections with the high school team that's doing the same thing in the local high school, and they help the main guy in that project. So he brings, as 8th graders, he gives them a tour of the school and suggests that they could be doing the same things they're doing in grade school in high school, and they can work for his team next year when they're in 9th grade and in the high school. And lo and behold, they discover that the pass keys for the grade school also work in the high school. So that will open some doors for them. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting trying to get readers of that, call it 11 or 12 to 13 or 14. We'll see.
That sounds very interesting, though, young adult is a huge market.
Yeah, well, and I've actually, the reason I got into it, I got a call, a year ago from an English teacher at my high school. And I went there, and she had 2 classes that were labeled crime fiction. And she wanted me to, present everything to her 2 classes, which I did. One class was at 9 o'clock, the other was at 11 o'clock. And so from 10 to 11, she didn't have a class, so we sat in her classroom and just chatted about things. And one of the things she said is, you should really think about reading or writing a book for boys this age, because there is nothing out there for them to read. And they would really enjoy your thought process and stuff on this. And so the more I thought about it, I thought, interesting. So, yeah.
Do you incorporate humor in those books?
Yeah. There's always crazy things they're doing. The crimes they deal with are dopey things that kids would do. They're sleeping over at someone's house, and they're actually sneaking out at night and doing some crazy stuff.
Do kids still do that today? I don't know.
I don't know, but we did it when we were kids. So
we did too. Yes.
Riding a bike everywhere, and yeah.
Those were good days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been very informative, and I can't wait to read those books. Actually, the
Okay. Well, thank you
those,
for your patience and all your assistance, and it's been really great.
oh well, anytime. Well, I'd actually like to have you come back when those when the Partners in Crime comes out.
Okay.
If you'd be interested, um,
I'd love to, believe me.
we'll instead of saying goodbye here, we'll just pause and see you next time. So I'm going to sign
Okay.
off for now because basically my both my dogs need to go out and it's
I got it.
becoming you know what it is. But anyway, thanks a lot, Mike, and check out his books on Amazon. You can find him, Mike Faricy and Dev Haskell, and what's the Dylan,
Jack
the
Dillon,
Jack
Dublin
Dylan.
Tales,
Yep.
and then
So
Yucky Yates.
okay, yes, and Yucky, and you can find them all under Mike Faricy on Amazon. All
Yep.
right, thanks, Mike. Talk to you
Hey,
later.
Jen, thank you very much. You have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Yep. Bye bye.